Hey everyone, welcome back for some Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And you're all probably wondering, what is Dxtr playing newer games? He's supposed to play retro games. No, this is actually a game that I actually enjoy speedrunning apart from NES. So it's gonna be really fun to be able to do it now on ESA stream. And I'm gonna get a little bit of help here with commentary also from my good friend Mitako.
So
So he's probably gonna do the major of the commentary because I can't really explain all the tricks. He can do that for me. So. But if you're ready, I'm ready.
let's go.
All right, let's see how this goes. So timer starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so at the beginning of the game, our first character here is called Richter, and some of you will notice that he was in the previous game, Rondo of Blood, and he was the protagonist for that, and this is the end of that. So this actually acts as a prelude to the game Symphony of the Night, and we're just going to fight Dracula here. So you'll have noticed that Dxtr picked up 41 hearts at the start of the intro. That's going to be really important, and he's also going to finish with 0 hearts. And if you're wondering what the hearts are, it's the number in the top left that currently says 21. That's going to allow us to have a heart refresh and a neutron bomb, which we're going to be using for skips later on. Right now, the other thing that's really interesting in terms of the fights with Dracula is that he will use Hydrostorm, which is a special move with Richter, and then he will mash the sub-weapon, the Holy Water, and if it goes well with timing, you can actually get a damage stack where you do lots and lots of damage per frames. So now that the intro's done, we're on to the main game, and introduce to our main character. So he is called Alucard, and we're going to see the first form of speed tech for the run. So, as with all good games, moving backwards is faster than moving forwards. And the technique we've got here is called shield dashing. So you alternate back dashing and using your shield, and that is faster than single back dashing, and you can cancel the shield with the backdash. And it is more important to be consistent than it is to go really, really quickly, because if you go really, really quickly and mess up an input, it will tend to be slower per screen than if you were consistent throughout. We also want to kill a certain amount of wargs and a certain amount of zombies so that we can do the first skip. So we'll get it lined up first, and then we'll talk about it. Yep, second frame. Nice. Okay, so in Castlevania Symphony of the Night, we've got what we call shift lines and reverse shift lines. So if you're facing the screen that you're going to, it's a shift line. If you're facing away from it, it's a reverse shift line. So with that, the general idea there is that we leveled up in a very specific frame, which is why we went into the map to pause and find that out. And that allowed us to do a full jump, go through the screen, and then we bypass the cutscene with Death, where he would take all your gear. So Dxtr now still has the Alucard shield, the Alucard sword, and can breeze through these areas. So you have to be really careful with some of these jumps as well, because the more precise you go, the faster it is. And when you get to really high level of play, it's when you tend to be brushing against the ledges and trying to do the minimum amount of floating in the air, because the jump mechanics are really precise with Symphony of the Night, so you can get really close to things. We also want to avoid the poison from the Spittlebone there. If we get poisoned, that's going to affect our damage output and the strat that we would have to do for the upcoming mini-boss with Slogar and Gaibon. We also want to avoid the poison from that Spittlebone. And the other thing that you will have noticed is that Dxtr is destroying quite a lot of candles and picking things up. So we've got the heart system again, and we've just picked up the axe sub-weapon, which we'll be able to use to dispose of some enemies soon. So first mini-boss. Good fight. So with Slogar and Gaibon, what you really want to get is a double kill on them, where we kill them on the same frame. And there's a very consistent method to doing that. So you do a jump slash, and then you jump and you aim for a particular part of the enemy to do that. So if they both die in the same frame, that's ideal. You can tell if you're one frame off, because instead of having 2 white sparks, you'll have a white spark and a golden spark. So that looked like the double kill for me, which is our ideal situation for the experience route. So the game's gone through a few different experience routes. The first one we just didn't even have one, but we knew where most of the level ups were. Then Talexella did a reroute, and we had some more consistent level ups, and then there's been even more recent updates since then. So the reason we want hearts is because every time we use our sub weapon, that will expend our hearts. So into the clock tower here, very important area. That clock tower opens and closes on even and odd minutes. So it's open during evens and it closes during odd minutes. So ideally, we want to get as much things sorted as we can in this area and get back to the clock tower before the 8-minute mark. So we watch it open, and then that means that we are on world record pace. So in this room, on the second candle, you'll see Dxtr's picked up the stopwatch, and the stopwatch is a really powerful sub-weapon that it can allow you buffer, because when you use it, you stop all the enemies in the screen, which is really nice. But it also happens that there is a mini-boss that is also susceptible to being stopped by the stopwatch. So again, depending on which experience route you're going with, so whether you get the double kill or not will affect certain enemies that you'll kill afterwards as well. So you have the option to jump over those Diplocephalus, I believe is what they're called, or you can just slash through them and go on. So now we're in the outer wall. Okay, so next mini boss is coming up. You'll see we've got quite a few hearts. Using the stopwatch costs 20 hearts, so you're going to see that disappear. So we've got a little cutscene, and then we'll be fighting Doppelganger 10. Stopwatch, 3 sword slashes, and he's down. So another thing that's really important that if you want to really track, especially when you get to high level play, is your item drops. So menuing does actually feature quite heavily in Symphony of the Night, and depending on what drops you've got will depend on what item slots are used up when you pick certain items up. So the next item that we really care about is going to be the library card, and depending on how many drops we get between the beginning of the game and when we get the library card, you want to be thinking, okay, how many inputs do I need to do? Which column is it in? There's a left and right column for the menu, and bits and pieces like that. And there are certain drops and certain items that you can pick up or neglect to pick up to give yourself a more favorable menu selection. You can fall through the floor here if you do a very precise jump. Nice.
Haven't gotten it once. Well, no, I got here. So that was good.
It's really nice. It's really precise. It's arguably negligible when it comes to the run, because if you're on sub 8 pace, it doesn't make the difference. But it looks cool, and it's really good to do. So we've picked up the Soul of Wolf, which allows us to transform into a puppy dog here. And one of the really nice things about it is that you can get a higher jump trajectory when you're going upstairs from that. So that allows us to pick up the Garnet there, which is a gem, and that gem will allow us to get lots and lots of money soon. So now we're going to make our way back to the clock tower, and all being well, we'll be able to watch it open in front of our eyes. So now comes the really cool speed tag. So you've seen us shield dashing for a lot of the run up until now, which again we said is our primary form of movement at the beginning. It is faster to shield dash if you do it with frame perfect precision than it would be to move with the wolf, but the wolf does not get slowed down by slopes and stairs. So for this particular part, it is actually faster to move as the wolf to get back to the clock tower than it would be just to shield dash with Alucard. So you can do some really cool fancy wolf tech, and if you really want to see something impressive, you could watch Ben Outen's low percent wolf. So here we are, back at the clock, and the really nice thing about the wolf as well, which allows us to sequence break the game here, which is not a glitch, which some people foolishly slay, is that when you untransform from the wolf, you can get put into a fall animation that allows you to dive kick. Dive kicking off the sconce there, or the candle allows you to jump into the Aurochs's quarters and get further into the game than you would be able to normally.
Whew.
So now we're into the Colosseum. Now Colosseum, there are certain enemies in here. So we've got skeletons, we've got blade masters, and the blade masters are really interesting because they will follow your movement, and depending on what you do, will impact what kind of things they do. So if you walk towards them, they'll jump over you like that, and that's a really nice way just to get them out of the way and carry on with what we're supposed to be doing with the run. So the next item we pick up is the library card, and of course I've definitely been counting the menu and can tell Dxtr exactly where it is. I have no idea. So next mini boss, this is Minotaur and Werewolf. So this particular fight will catch a lot of new runners out, in particular with the timing, because you've got an amount of time between when you can actually press the attack button and still be able to slash the sword. A lot of people will tend to go a little bit early, and then you're like, oh, well, now I have to wait again and again, and you can just get lost in the timing. So we've now got Form of Mist, so we can turn into a dog, and now we can turn into Mist, and we're going to be able to use that for a few things as well. So library card takes us to the library, so here we are. And let's just do some more sequence breaking. So, into the wolf, and we've got book jump now. Nice!
Dear God.
So that's it's like every runner's worst nightmare. It's one of the few things like we truly cannot fully control. The really nice thing is that if you are precise with your movement in the wolf and where you jump and untransform, you've got one of two options. Either the book will follow you and you will be able to dive kick onto the platform from it, or it will not follow you and you'll fall to the ground. If you've got bad movement and you dive kick into the book, it can hurt you. But we've got another little skip here.
I'm interested in this. I'm interested in
Cool.
this.
So this is a fairy card glitch, or fairy card skip, and the idea is that as soon as the fairy talks, we can backdash into the library room, and that allows us to go into our menu when we normally wouldn't. And the general principle behind it is that we've got one garnet in our inventory, so we go into the shop, we go to sell the garnet, we then equip the garnet, so then the shop thinks, oh, you had one before, now you've got 0. 0 obviously means 255, so then you just kind of like sell, and then E5 would be the lowest amount that we would need to carry on with the run, and be able to buy everything that we need. So that's basically how that works. Then we've done a little bit of an equip. So we bought 2 Buffalo Stars because that is a consumable weapon and it does a ton of damage output. So the other thing that's really nice about Buffalo Stars is that you can backdash with them. So instead of using the shield, we can even do damage with our backdash weapon, and we can move really quickly as well. Oh shit, it's fine. All good. The other item that we got that's really important is the Mana Prism. So Mana Prism will refill our MP. So going into Dog, using Mist, going into Bat, which we're about to get now. Good. All use MP, and also it gives you invincibility. So it's really nice to have as well. So once we get through the gate here, where Mist may pass, which is why we need our Mist, that's going to get us the Bat Relic. And then we've got another skip.
Oh.
Yep, really nice. Okay, so Symphony of the Night's a really well-programmed game, and the general idea there is, for whatever reason, if you've got the right amount of speed with the wolf and you do a really precise jump into stairs and then untransform, you can clip into the stairs with the wolf. Now, the really nice thing about this is that skip's been around for quite a while, but it was just so tricky and there was no reliable way to do it. Now, I think Talexela came up with the setup for that, and the idea was that if you use the Mana Prism and then do a certain timing with Mist into Wolf, you can then what we call auto dash, which means you hold left and the wolf will automatically dash without you having to double tap the direction forwards. And then you can just line up your pixels by looking at the screen and saying, okay, I'm here. Then you line up the jump, and then you get the right frame, and then you can untransform from there. Depending on when you go, you've either got 1 or 2 frames to be able to do the untransform, and then it just works really nicely from there. So here we go, outsidey bit.
Oof. Yeah, let's go all the way up there.
Nice. So you'll notice that when you travel with the bat, you've got upward, downwards, and sideways trajectory. So you really do have like full control over where you move with it, and the more precise you get, the better you're going to have.
Oh.
You're good. So the same way with the wolf, you can do some really advanced movement. You can do some really advanced movement with the bat as well. Yep. Nice, and then there we go. So you'll see a couple of points in there on that Dxtr is actually going to intentionally fly into or go into certain parts of scenery. So by pushing against that little ledge there that he did, that was aligning his subpixels, which meant that when he went through that screen transition afterwards, he was not going to hit an invisible wall. So Symphony of the Night was originally a PlayStation game, has been ported to the Xbox 360, and a lot of the walls and doors have been removed, but some of them still have hitboxes. So if you've got bad positioning there, sometimes you can actually bonk. Next skip. Oh, it's okay. All good. So, with that one, so this is Richter skip. So normally you would fight Richter, who you've seen there on the ground, the guy we played with at the start of the game. But what we do is you break one block, and again on that ledge, and we turn into the wolf. The wolf's got a smaller hitbox than Alucard, and what you can do with a really precise jump, you can miss that cutscene trigger, and then you can turn into a bat, and then you can fly through then, and you would skip that whole scene. So otherwise, to get through to the second castle, which we're in now, you would have to get silver ring, gold ring, holy glasses, fight Richter, and then get to the point there. But so it's really nice to have that skip. It's gone through various iterations. It used to be like another room you'd go into with the wolf and do another stair clip. There's one with the bat that you can do. So it's really advanced, and there's silly things that you can do that are, you know, doable RTA, but just silly and unnecessary. So now that we've got pretty much all our moving options of Mist, Bat, and Wolf, we can do various iterations of that to get through the second castle. So we've got our next fight, Medusa. And as you can see, the Buffalo Stars are so strong. I mean, it would just make light work of her. Really, really, really simple. So again, Mana Prism for invincibility. Turning into Bat by going into Mist first is faster. Again, Mist Wolf is faster than just going into Wolf. And then also a really nice thing is that typically when you've got the bat, if you untransform, then you have to take the time to turn back into Alucard, turn back into Bat, and a technique that we would use is called mist batting. So you can be in Bat and then go mist the Bat really quickly, stops your trajectory, you can line up with things, you can change direction, and then you can move exactly where you need to go. So zigzag room now. PSX Nightmare. PlayStation's got a lot of lag. Xbox is very, very fortunate we don't have to deal with that.
Oh, thank God.
Nice, well done, good man. So that room's really scary because if you untransform at any point, the little imps there can grab onto you and stop you from being able to move, and then the guardian angels can just do like tons and tons of damage to you. It's really quite scary, as are the minotaurs here. So it's really important that we take our time, get through this nice and safely, use any invincibility that we need to, and make sure that we get through the other side. Nice. So what Dxtr's doing here is he's using, so the Soul Steal ability not only damages enemies, but will also, it's like a lifesteal spell, so that means that he's got his health back. So he's only at 45, so if he did get hit by a Minotaur, it could have been quite dicey, and even like the werewolves do quite a bit of damage as well, so always better to be safe than dead. And this is the last scary enemy here. So that sword just does a ton of damage. If you're playing in Richter mode, like that is a one-shot for sure. And then we've got reverse zigzag here.
Oh no. Oh, that was
Cool. Made it. So that's a really tricky one because, I mean, technically, like the optimal way to do that room would be to like wing smash going upwards and then turn like and miss bat within like X amount of frames, and then you would still maintain your upwards trajectory while turning around. So hard to do, it's easier just to go into the wall. So again, we're lining up our subpixels here to make sure we can get this last skip. And I think it's time to go on the floor again. Yep, that's going to work. Good. So that's the second frame that works on. So again, we're going to backdash to line ourselves up, go into that wall, and then we're in the floor. Okay? Nice. Oh, perfect.
Where are we? There we are.
That's good. So with that skip there again, you're in the floor, then you have to travel left, and then you want to wing smash out of that, and then you've got that screen transition that can put you into the save room before we get into Drax Chamber, and then for some reason that isn't the elevator we got to there can activate while being in the form of wolf, so it's quicker to fly into that with bat and then turn into wolf. That is a really nice on transform. Okay, second to last boss, Shaft. So you see Dxtr equipped 2 Buffalo Stars. That's solid.
That was pretty good.
So one of the fastest shaft fights you can get. So you can do it like based on a clock face. So he goes upwards and goes in this direction. I think being at 10 o'clock is probably the fastest you'd be able to do it. Really hard to do. So anywhere on like between, I guess, 10 o'clock and 8 o'clock is really, really good. And then we've got the final boss, Dracula, Daddy Time. So it's just going to be Buffalo Star, Buffalo Star, Buffalo Star the whole way through. So we don't have to worry about invincibility for the Mana Prism. And then we're nearly done with the run. It's going to be really good. So get ready on time. And time.
Oh. I didn't die.
You didn't die? That's sub 20.
Yeah, I'm so happy with that run, actually. So happy.
That was really nice. Well done.
You lost the ability to
Thanks, man.
You got it, man. You can breathe.
Oh man, yeah. Again, I'm really glad that I got to play this live on ESA because it's a really fun speed game. I would say a lot of funny tricks to do and really easy to learn. So I recommend anyone trying this off. I mean, there are a lot of good guides and video like guides that you can use from like Talik in particular. He's been helping out a lot. So shout out to him. Shout out to Mitago and everyone else. So. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Brilliant. Well done. Good man, Dxtr.
All right.
On to the next.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah.